What is it? It's a slimy, moist, mucosal covering the nasal passages, the gastrointestinal tract, and the various other cavities which are opening with the exterior. And when this lines the mucous membrane of the oral cavity, it is called as the oral mucous membrane. Anatomically, it is located between the skin and the gastrointestinal tract. And the oral mucous membrane performs a lot of functions like defense mechanism. The major barrier to microorganisms and their toxins is barried by this. They secrete antibodies and have an efficient humoral and cell-mediated immunity. Second function is lubrication. They moisten the different saliva which is secreted by the major and the minor salivary glands are poured into the oral cavity and help to keep it moist. And this helps in speech, in mastication, in swallowing and perception of taste. Apart from this, the sensory function, reflexes like swallowing, gagging, retching and salivation is initiated by receptors. These receptors also respond to touch, temperature and proprioception. Protection from mechanical stress or forces from the mastication and abrasive nature of the foodstuffs is accounted as a function of the oral mucous membrane. Well, we have heard Raju sir's lecture stating that the oral ectoderm or the oral ectodermal apparatus will begin. They start from the epithelium and go down. That's the helps in initiation of tooth development. Starts from the oral ectoderm. Development of salivary gland occurs by the ingrowth. Next is excretion. Some metabolites are excreted through the oral mucous membrane. Also absorption. Absorbs electrolytes by various mechanisms. Absorption potential is greater than that of the skin as far as the oral cavity is concerned. Aesthetics, color and amount of visibility of gingiva and color of the lip mucosa enhance the facial aesthetics. And some functions like thermal regulation is performed in the dogs. There are some differences between the skin and the mucous membrane. What are those differences? Skin has stratum lucidum, it is always orthokeratinoid and it has the skin appendages and the structures are called as epidermis and dermis. Whereas in the oral mucous membrane, it may be either orthokeratinoid or parakeratinized. It lacks the stratum lucidum and salivary glands are seen in the lamina propria. Well, the development of the oral mucosa begins with when the primitive oral cavity fuses with that of the stomatium and the rupture of the buccopharyngeal membrane at a gestation. Epithelium of the from ectoderm and endoderm both. The anterior part, the epithelium is derived from the ectoderm, that is palate and cheeks and gingiva, and the posterior part, and mostly those which are arising from the brachial arches, they are
लिमिट होगी ना जो सारे लेक्चर्स एक साथ करना है ना उसकी कुछ लिमिट होगी ये ले लेते होंगे मतलब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पहले लेकर
the oral cavity consists of two parts. The vestibular cavity, which is bounded by the lips and the cheeks. From the outer aspect, from the inner aspect, you have the alveolus, the teeth, and the gingiva. The oral cavity proper is separated from the vestibule by the alveolus and the tooth bearing and the gingiva. So we have these boundaries. The superior part is by the heart and the soft palate. The inferior part is by the floor of the mouth and base of the tongue. The posterior is by the anterior pillar of faucial and the tonsils. Now, whatever the structure of the oral mucous membrane is histologically, that is reflected clinically. Hence, learning about oral mucous membrane is very important because we are going to look into the oral cavity of the patients and view what is happening, what are the changes which are happening, what are the changes which are happening. For this, we should know what are the normal features which are usually located. Oral mucosa is pink in color. The color depends again on whether the concentration and dilatation of the blood vessels is present, how much is the thickness of epithelium, what is the degree of keratinization, and the amount of the melanin pigment. The surface is very smooth. The firmness and texture depends on whether it is the part of the lining mucosa or the masticatory mucosa. Gingiva and hard palate are firm and immovable, whereas mucosa of lips and cheeks are soft and they are pliable. permeability and absorption is basically because of the membrane coating granules that the outline body, the permeability is restricted, there is a permeability barrier, and differences in permeability also depends on thickness of epithelial barrier and pattern of maturation. When we talk about the histological structure of the oral mucous membrane, it consists of epithelium. There is a junction between this epithelium and the lamina propria, which is called as a basement membrane. And here in oral mucous membrane, the connective tissue is named as lamina propria, and then you have the submucosa. So what type of oral epithelium do we have in the oral mucous membrane? The non-keratinized and the keratinized. The keratinized can be parakeratinized or it can be orthokeratinized. The non-keratinized epithelium, the keratinized epithelium basically consists of 4 layers. That is stratum basalis, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, and stratum corneum. Apart from this, there are 2 groups of cells. These are keratinocytes and the non-keratinocytes. Now, the first layer is the stratum basale. These layers are just stacked on top of each other like the bricks. So, they are called as the stratified squamous epithelium because they are laid out in strata. The lowest cell is the single layer of the cuboidal cell. This is where these are least differentiated cells. They do not have any morphological or biochemical differentiation to perform a specific function. The basal cells, along with the parabasal spinal cells, are referred to as a stratum germinative. If you look at the basal epithelial cells, they are basically 2 population of cells. One is the progenitor cells and one is the maturing cells. After the differentiation, the mature cells keep on processing from the basal cells to form a keratinized squama. Whereas the progenitor cell has again 2 types of cells, stem cells and amplifying cells. Stem cells are non-serrated cells. They are the cells which are slowly, they're slow growing, and these particular cells are involved with the mitotic activity. Whereas the amplifying cells are further maturing type of cells. These cells are basically like how you see a building, which is cement is put in between to keep it stiff. Same way, these cells are of the oral epithelium are maintained, or the cohesiveness is maintained by 7 substances secreted by epithelial cells, desmosomes, tight junctions, and gap junctions. Apart from this, their adhesion is by the hemidesmosomes. So these are the different intercellular junctions that we have. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but these are the ultrastructure of the intercellular junctions. The 3 main ones that are desmosomes called as macula adherens, tight junction called as macula or zomula occludens, and gap junction which is called as the nexus. And most of these cell junctions are present in the stratum basale. Apart from these, in the desmosomes, there are 2 types of proteins, basically desmogleins and desmocoleins. And these are very important as far as the mucocutaneous lesions are concerned, where the epithelium is involved. Coming to the next layer, it is called as stratum spinosum. I think all as kids we have played this. Buckleball we have tried to throw on others so that it sticks to them and to their clothes. And that is how these cells are basically spinal cells. They're irregularly polyhedral cells, large basal cells. They have a large intercellular space, and because of that, when the processing is done, they have a prickly appearance. And these cells are said to be most active in protein synthesis. Then comes the next layer of stratum granulosum, where the cells are flatter and wider cells. They are larger than the spinal cells. They are called so because of the basophilic keratohyaline granules. Now, these basophilic keratohyaline granules are keratinosomes. They are odd-line body or membrane-coating granules which are formed in the upper layer. They are nothing but they are glycolipids. And because of this, the stratum granulosum, this is said to be contributing to the permeability barrier because these granules discharge the contents into the intercellular spaces and create a barrier over there. Then coming to the last layer, which is the stratum corneum. Here the cells become more larger, they are more flatter than the granular layer, and they are basically an acidophilic in nature. They layer and histologically they appear as amorphous. The cells of the stratum corneum are densely packed with filaments, non-fibrous interfilamentous matrix proteins and filamentous. They do not synthesize any proteins. Well, stratum corneum may be either orthokeratinized, where you see no pycnotic nuclei, or they may be parakeratinized, where the cells retain the pycnotic and condensed nuclei and other partially live cell organelles until they desquamate. This was regarding the oral epithelium. Apart from these, in the oral epithelium, there are keratinocytes. All these cells belonging to the different strata are called as keratinocytes. So they synthesize keratin, and characteristic intermediate filament is called as cytokeratin. It is in the basal cell. This cytokeratin are of 20 different types, and they are always present in pairs. There are type 1 is basic from 1 to 8, and type 2 is acidic from 9 to 20. And we can see that if it is in the suprabasal layers of plastic, if you express cytokeratin 1 and 13, suprabasal layers of lining mucosa express CK4 and 13, and that's how they go on pairing themselves. The cell type and cell differentiation reflects both. The basic functions of this cytokeratin is to provide a mechanical linkage, to distribute the forces and stress-bearing structures, and also maintain the cell shape. Now, this keratinized epithelium undergoes maturation. Once the cells differentiate, what is differentiation? It is the property of a cell to acquire morphological and biological changes and biochemical changes to acquire a specific function. So once the cells differentiate into keratinocytes, they move upwards and they form the keratinous squamate, and further they desquamate. And this keratinization process occurs in two categories. First is the morphological feature. There are changes which are happening morphologically, like increase in intracellular organelles, in number of desmosomes, in number of filaments, and the cell volume, and the progressive flattening of the cell leads to this conification or keratinization. The biochemical changes which are there, the synthesis of DNA, RNA, and proteins. Slowly there is cessation of DNA synthesis, progressive decrease of DNA and protein synthesis occurs. Filaggrin and profilaggrin formation forms, and because of this filaggrin aggregation, you have the tonofilaments which give the architectural structure to these cells. So these cells, the stratum basale stem cell division occurs, there is incorporation of protein, and they move upwards, and finally they shed off. And this is called as the turnover time. The time taken for a cell to divide in the basal cell and then pass through these different layers throughout the entire epithelium is called as turnover time. And it is said that turnover time in the oral mucosa is faster than the skin but slower than the intestinal mucosa. The turnover time of non-keratinized oral epithelium is said to be much faster than the keratinized oral epithelium. So if you look at the turnover time, it is like in oral epithelium 4 to 14 days, epidermis 12 to 75 days, masticating mucosa of attached gingiva is 7 to 15 days. And in turnover time, there are two components. One is the functional compartment, one is the reproductive compartment. The reproductive compartment consists of basal layer, and the functional compartment consists of spinous layer, the granular, and the stratum cornea. There are some factors which influence the turnover time. This includes stress. Now, because of stress, an increase in adrenaline and corticosteroid is released, which depresses the cell turnover. And as age advances, there is decrease in the metabolic functions of the cells. They become slow. Their duration of mitotic cycle increases, and thus leading to a depressed cell turnover. But as far as the gender is concerned, high mitotic activity is seen in the males, that is, see a fast turnover of the males. Also in pathological conditions of physiologic inflammation, there is increase in the turnover rate of the cells. Now, apart from the keratinocytes, there are some cells which are called as non-keratinocytes. Basically, oral epithelium has two types of cells, keratinocytes and non-keratinocytes. The non-keratinocytes do not contain any cytokeratin filament, they do not able to keratinize, they do not show mitotic activity or mature or desquamate. They are not arranged in layers like the other basal cells. They do not form desmosomal attachments with the adjacent keratinocytes. And there are some dendritic cells which appear clear in routine HLE stains. These cells migrate to the oral epithelium and form the neural crest of the bone marrow. So, these are the melanocytes, Langerhans cells, the Merkel cells, inflammatory cells, lymphocytes, and non-specific dendritic cells. So, what are melanocytes? These are cells which elaborate the melanin. They are basically from the neural crest cells and migrate into the epithelium. And they are in contact with 30 to 40 keratinocytes through the dendritic processes, and there the melanin is stored in the melanosome. They are clear cells or they are dendritic cells, and they are found, they can be stained by special staining like silver staining and Mason Fontana stain. And in the gingiva, you can see that they are highly pigmented in the gingiva. The second non-keratinocyte are the Langerhans cells, found in the upper layers of the skin and mucosal epithelium. These are basically antigen-presenting cells to the lymphocytes. They have a Berbick granule, which is important in them, and they can be stained by the gold chloride or the ATPase and immunofluorescent markers. Then the third non-keratinocyte are the Merkel cells. They are found in the basal cells, and these are immediately subjacent to the nerve tissue. and they are presumed to be specialized neural pressure sensitive receptor cells. So they respond to the touch sensation and therefore found more commonly in the masticatory mucosa and usually absent in the lining mucosa. They are also originating from the neural plexus and are stained by the PAS positive stain. With that, we go ahead and talk about non-keratinized epithelium. Now, non-keratinized epithelium do not produce a conified surface layer. They have only three layers, that is stratum basalis, stratum intermedium, and stratum superficialis. The basal cells of both keratinized and non-keratinized are similar. The cells of the stratum intermediate do not have prickly apices as intercellular spaces are not enough. Stratum superficially contains nucleated cells, so they have less number of phonofilaments, they have lack the keratohyaline granules. And non-keratinized epithelium has higher rate of mitosis than the keratinizing oral mucosa. Now we said that the interface between the oral epithelium and the connective tissue is by a layer which is called as the basement membrane. Now it includes the reticular fibers which are present here. It is almost 1 to 4 micrometer in width, and because there is a high level of neutral molybdenum-saccharides and glycoproteins present here, they positively stain with the periodic acid shift stain. The basic main function of the basement membrane is to promote cell growth, it promotes differentiation, it promotes peripheral nerve regeneration, growth, and also prevents metastasis. Ultrastructurally, the basement membrane is called as basal lamina. It is visible in the electron microscope, appears as an electron-dense layer, and there are basically three layers which are present here. Now, which are these three layers? You have lamina lucida, lamina densa, and lamina fibroreticularis. The two layers, that is lamina lucida, is clear zone, basically consists of glycoproteins, type 4 collagen, and laminin, whereas the lamina densa is a dark zone consisting of type 4 collagen coated with heparin sulfate, giving you the typical chicken wire configuration. And then you have the lamina fibroreticularis, which is just adjacent to that of the lamina propria. What is the function of these basal lamina? It acts as a filter to control passage of molecules between epithelium and the connective tissue. It also acts as a barrier to cell migration, signaling function which is essential for epithelial differentiation and development and maintenance of cell polarity. Well, there is the connective tissue. You have the oral epithelium, you have the basement membrane, then the connective tissue which is called as lamina propria. It has two layers. One is the papillary layer and one is the reticular layer. The papillary layer is where you have the connective tissue papillae going up into the epithelium, and the reticular layer is where you have the reticular fibers. So ground substances are present, basically proteoglycans and glycoproteins. There are different fibers like collagen, elastic fibers. Collagen fibers, apart from this, there is the presence of oxytocin fibers, elastic fibers, and reticular fibers. The major cells which are present are fibroblasts, macrophages, mast cells, and inflammatory cells. So we all know about these particular cells, that is fibroblasts. They are present throughout the lamina propria. They secrete the ground substance and fibers. Histiocytes are present throughout the lamina propria. There are type of macrophages. For functional macrophages, you have the macrophages, you have the mast cells, which are basically associated with that of the certain inflammatory mediators like heparin and histamine and serotonin. They are also present throughout the lamina propria. Apart from these, we have the different blood cells, that is your polymorphonuclear leukocytes, the lymphocytes, the plasma cells, and you have the endothelial cells. In the submucosa, below the lamina propria, you have the submucosa. So the mucous membrane attaches to the underlying structure through the submucosa. This particular structure contains glands, blood vessels, nerves, adipose tissue, and specialized receptors. You have the Krauss end pulse, which are called for the pulse reception, Meissner's corpuscles for touch, and free nerve endings for pain. It may be present or absent in different parts of oral mucosa. Looseness or density of a texture determines whether the mucous membrane is movable or immovable